Hi, my name's Brian. I'm going to do a little quick review on the Smith & Wesson Urban Titanium Camo with the recurved blade. This is the knife here. It's got a pocket clip on one side. I got this in Boker Magnum Stealth. And I got to tell you, after looking at both of them, personally, I'm pretty new to knives, but I'm telling you, that little Boker Magnum Stealth is hard to beat for the money. It's about 15 bucks. Paid a little bit more for this knife. I think a little over 20. Retail on this one's about 40, I think. But, it's a camo design. It's basically it doesn't have any scales. It's pretty much just a liner with no scales. And I'm going to tell you something about this blade. It's got the recurve shape on it. And the biggest comment I can make on this blade, you'll notice the bandages on my fingers. This puppy is one sharp son of a gun. And reading on the side right here with a magnifying glass, it says hammer forged surgical steel. And they're not a kidding. And as you can see by the shine there, that the surgical steel edge goes all the way up to the hilt here. There's no shoulder on this blade at all. So unfortunately, when you go to unlock this knife, and if you try to operate this knife, if you try to operate this knife with one hand, and you try to push this locking mechanism over and then push the blade with your forefinger sufficiently, I'm going to tell you something. You got to be very careful so that blade does not, it wants to shut right on your thumb. And that puppy is like a razor. There's no hilt or shoulder on the blade right here. And therefore, all I can say about this knife is it's very sharp. Be very careful, and I highly recommend that you use two hands to close this knife in particular. And be careful when you open it up. So it says Smith & Wesson h.r.t. It's a pretty good quality knife, though, the way it feels in the hand and all that. The titanium, I imagine, is just something. They probably got some titanium dust or something in the coating on here. But I'm sure that obviously this handle material is not solid titanium, or this knife would be over $100. In fact, it'd be a couple $100. The pocket clip rides a little bit. It doesn't allow the knife to ride real low in your pocket. It's got about 1/4 of an inch there. So actually the material is going to run right there. So you got almost a 1/2 inch of the butt of the knife will be sticking out of your pocket. I don't know exactly what the blade length is on this. It's about 3.5. But it's a pretty well made knife. And like I said, my best advice to you with this knife is be very careful with it. It is quite dangerous. So that's it. Comes in a cardboard box. Has little. This is the little box it comes in. Now that Boker Magnum Stealth comes in a nice metal case, and it has a glass breaker. This knife does not have a glass breaker. This is the model SWF L2C. Camo frame lock recurve. And basically the frame lock, I mean, like I said, it's basically just a liner with no scales, which is an okay design if that's what you're wanting. I imagine it's pretty durable because of that. You don't have any scales to break. So it's kind of an attractive knife, I suppose. That's my Militech I've got on here. That shine on there, I've got this thing conditioned with Militech. Anyhow, that's the Smith & Wesson Camo Frame Lock Recurve, part number SWF L2C. It's a pretty well made knife for the money. It's not bad. But I'm going to reiterate one more time, be very careful with this knife because it is surgical steel and it's sharp as a razor. Okay, so that'll close up. That's about all I've got to say about the knife. Give you a quick look at it. It's a pretty new product. You know, I just got the thing, so I can't give any kind of advice on how it's gonna wear over time or anything like that. I probably won't even use the thing much. I just kind of building a little collection, you know. Spending money I don't need to spend, you know how it goes. However, I'm buying. I'm kind of in the $25 price range. I'm looking at knives like this as far as dropping 2 or 3 bills for a freaking pocket knife or a knife like this, a lockback, whatever you want to call it. It's not a lockback, but you know what I'm talking about. This type of knife or any other type of knife. If I was going to drop that kind of money, I mean, I might do it on something like a cold steel, one of those San Mai 3s, you know, the puppies that'll pretty much chop a sapling in half with one stroke. But I'm not going to spend no 2 or 3 bills on a dang folder like this, a tactical folder. If I was in a job where I needed a blade like this and people's lives depended on it, I might consider doing that. But to be real honest with you, I got several knives, different brands and stuff. I got 2 or 3 Smith & Wessons and a couple Tomahawks and I don't know, a couple other knives I picked up that were going to close out. And my favorite knife out of the whole bunch is the Boker Magnum Stealth, and I highly recommend that knife for $15. I think it's pretty hard to beat. I'm not saying it's going to hang in there with a $200 Benchmade or anything, but you can buy about 8 or 10 of them for the price of a Benchmade, so it's not going to have to hold up quite as much. Anyway, I've burned up enough video time on this little knife. That'll do her.